There we go.
Okay, so I'll spin the mic for you so you can sit / stand over there.
Perfect.
Yep. Okay. Oh.
Is there any good actually the presentation on my
Let me see if I can do that for you. Mike is showing violence today. Alright, let me see what I can do for
It's
you.
not today, bro.
Yeah. Oh, there you are. Hello, mouse. Size, mirror. Is mirror gonna play nice? Mirror played nice today. We like mirror playing nice today. Okay, so yes, it is now on the screen. So there's your present button.
There's tap it.
First page. Yeah, and if you screw up at any point, it's escape. Scroll to the top. Hit present. Okay.
Okay, got
So
it.
yeah, this. Those are your 2 friends.
Got it. Thank
Yep.
you so much.
No problem. All right, and those you want to be probably about 8 inches. Yeah, there, perfect.
About right here? Okay,
Yes,
yeah, that works.
Excellent. And you are allowed to touch it and move it. Don't worry, it will not bite. I've
Okay.
checked all of them personally. They don't bite.
That's good to know.
Have a good piano.
Thanks. I'm gonna wait a couple of minutes, just while it's at 6 for any last minute stragglers, and then we'll start. I will say that this is a pared down version of the original panel, which was an hour long. So if you do see some stuff that's missing, I can answer it afterwards in questions. So, in case you're wondering, like, oh, the this thing's kind of short. It used to be an hour. This year, though, I got the half-hour slot, so I was like, ooh, let me.
Yeah, half-hour slots are a new thing. I've never seen it.
Yeah, no, I've never seen it before this, before this year either. I was like, because I usually just autoplay for like the hour.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I haven't been to one panel yet.
Mhm.
That, like, all the panels I've been to so far have been half-hour slots that feel like they need the full hour.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why they did that this year, but
I
like,
have no idea. It was
You know,
a bad decision.
for first year it's ever happened. So I'm just kind of like,
I will say though, I've definitely been to panels that are an hour. It's like, this really didn't need to be an
it
hour.
could have been 45 minutes.
Yeah, so I think it's just knowing your presentation, that kind of thing.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, schedule the full hour, and if you don't need it, then you can just be like, okay, we're done. Bye.
Yeah, like it's over. It's Gucci guys like that. I don't know. It's like a whole thing. I did do this panel in 2019. If anybody was here in 2019, I don't know if anybody was. Shrug them out. And then I also do the same panel, the hour version, at Colossal Con in Ohio. I don't do it in the one that's in Minnesota because I refuse to go to Minnesota as a southerner who is. I am too. I can't do the cold. I'll die. I'll perish immediately on the spot. It's 6 o'clock. See here, I'll get started. I will say this one is mostly meant for fursuit makers, but if you are disabled fursuit like wearer, I would also recommend just keeping this in mind for when you do decide to commission an artist. This is also posted online, publicly, so if you need to, you can just put in Google Slides fursuit accessibility, and it should pop up in the Google SEO. Hopefully, if the SEO decides to continue working with me. Okay, that's everyone. This is fursuit. These things are like $1,000, so I'm kind of terrified of them.
They're designed to be banged around. Not to do it on purpose, but
Yeah.
they're
Yeah, don't like mic drop it, but.
Yeah, don't mic. Do not mic drop it. And just to check, is everybody in here either 16 plus or 18 plus? Right? Good to hear. Because sometimes I accidentally curse, so I wanted to make sure. Just in case, I was going to pre-apologize to any parents. I was going to be like, I'm sorry if your child learns a new word today. Because I try to keep it PG, but I do work in the back of the kitchen. So, that's all I need to say.
Work in the ER, so it's.
Same vibe, exact same vibe. I'm sure you get plenty of incidents from the back kitchens as well in there.
We'll
Oh
be bring
dear.
clients through, they're like, no sailor talk, like.
They're like, oh shh. Here's how to make fursuits more accessible for a range of disabilities. Just gonna click it. There we go. So here's a definition of disability. An individual with a disability is defined by the ADA as a person who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, a person who has a history of such a thing, and or a person who is perceived by others as having such a disability, which that one is an important distinction to make. And this is what we're going to be using for defining quote, a standard fursuit, just so that way you have more context on the type of fursuit I'm talking about. A standard fursuit is what we'll be talking about here. For accessibility, this can but does not necessarily always mean digitally legs, clothed legs. We will presume that these suits are without extra plush, that a tail does not drag, meaning it is not an extra large, or a floor dragger that requires a handle at the end for you to get on an escalator. And then we also will presume you don't have extra limbs, you don't have super heavy or large wings, and so on. Smaller wings like Dutch angle dragon wings, or those little mini Pegasus wings for MLPs, those don't count. Those usually don't tend to limit any issues, whether you're in a wheelchair or not, so we don't count those. We're also assuming 3 to 5 finger style paws, no extra plush. That also includes no extra plush in the legs, belly, upper area, or in the behind. This also does not include hoof style, wing, arm style, or claw sets for that matter either. Mostly because if you are using those, then you are well aware of all the issues that come with those giant metal claw type paws. And here's some more common issues you're going to come across for fursuits for people who have mental health disabilities. This includes things like anxiety attacks, panic attacks, paranoia of large crowds, agoraphobia, varying levels, and low social battery. These are more prevalent when fursuiting because oftentimes fursuiters will hang out in large crowds or smaller crowds in the rooms. I've been in rooms that sometimes have had 30 to 50 people stuffed in them. And let's just say some of those panic attacks do get brutal when the wrong person walks in, and I'm like, oh no, Bessie, let's get you out real quick. And here's some tips for handling that. Plan out your schedule, including breaks for the headless lounge every couple hours. Most conventions do have more than one headless lounge. This one I believe has 4 of them, if I remember correctly. So you also can swap out which one you attend every couple hours depending on how busy it's going to be. And make sure you have a handler who knows your signal. I cannot stress this enough. For whenever you start having a panic attack or anything like that, because we really do not want to have to cut you out of your $3,000 suit. ER techs do not care. They will cut you out through the chest, through the arms, out through everything. And then if you do have needed medication, make sure you have some spare packed on you at all times, assuming it is one you take as needed. If not, don't do that obviously, please. And then I also recommend packing a couple spares just in case you fumble with your paws while you're trying to put it in, or it vanishes somewhere in your suit and you're trying to shove it through your fursuit head. And then also water, please hydrate. Please, please hydrate. Do not die of dehydration here. And then base needs cannot be met, which can lead quicker to bad symptoms, which is something that did recently happen. Somebody forgot to eat in the last day, not joking, last 24, 25 hours, and it led to a very bad event happening just last night with an ambulance. So please, guys, take care of your base needs. I cannot stress this enough. Here's a few other common problems for fursuits with physical disabilities. A few common issues that tend to happen with standard fursuits for physical disabilities can range anywhere from sizing problems to hand paws not being grippy enough for safe cane use, to hand paws getting ripped apart from wheelchair tires. Many of you know about that one, they get ripped up. Many of these problems can be solved with a quick conversation with your fursuit maker, but not all fursuit makers have had to modify suits before. An example would be inserting easily clean plastic lining for GI tubes or incontinence suits. After all, even the best of planning can sometimes go sideways, so it's better to have a secondary backup. Getting a Dexcom that's yelling at full volume through a suit is annoying to say the least. Missing sharp boxes at cons is another issue, though not present where this was originally done. This is at the Marriott. The Sheraton does have sharp boxes, but you do have to request them from staff at hotel if you are somebody who is diabetic. So, and I believe the lobby floor does have sharp boxes in the downstairs bathroom, but there aren't any, I believe, up here on the second or third floor. So here's how we do support and blind cane accessible hand pods. Support canes refers to canes that are weight bearing. So it's going to be in a single or double or even all crutches. Blind canes, otherwise known as mobility canes, are used for visually impaired and fully blind people. Support canes require more of a grip, which can be accomplished with leather beams, short-shaped fur, not minky. Minky is slippery. Do not use minky. And even applique techniques. This refers to a style of embroidery which helps to create quote-unquote more grip. And then another thing that you can do when it comes for the arm crutches is going to be basically the same for the hand paws, but you're going to want a shorter fur up here on the shoulder area and or right above the elbow, so that way your crutch can actually correctly latch in. Mobility canes require, depending on how it's used for the person using the cane, it can be really short fur on two top only paws. This refers to a style of paws where the fur is only done on the top and the bottom is loose, meaning that your bottom hands are basically completely bare. You will see this sometimes in musician furries who play like wind instruments or saxophones. It's pretty popular with them. And here's some wheelchair safe hand paws and tails and a couple of tips that I've picked up. There are some suits that are designed completely for wheelchair use. An example, this would be the hippocampus one done by Beast Club on FA, but this will focus on making standard suits safe to wear in a standard wheelchair or power chair. I'm not going to cover like modified frames or anything like that, just because that is very specialized per person. Wearing a modified fursuit paws, like the ones listed for canes, may be a good idea, or having a completely separate pair just for photo shoots, if you want to do the dino style instead. And then tails that are pretty bulky can get in the way of proper posture or cause seat cushions to be sat on improperly. A couple of solutions to this is going to be either have a separate tail for photo shoots, meaning you take your tail, you unclip it, and you just put it on the side. So that way it looks like it's attached with the fur, but it's actually not, so that way you can sit correctly. And then another idea would be just adding a basic strap, like straight up to like the back part of it, where you loop it in, and then it comes around to the front, so that way you aren't sitting incorrectly. Again, because that is a very important safety feature.
Can you elaborate on that one a bit more?
Yeah, so basically you take, it's probably easier if I stand up and show you. But basically for the tail, you're gonna have a strip about this big, roughly 5 to 7 inches. The strap starts here and ends about here. And then the tail starts there. So that way you can, so that way you can like sit it like that on the side. You don't have to worry about it affecting your posture. This is especially true if you're going to go for really plush tails or the big tails or dragon tails. Those spikes can and will mess you up, especially if they are the really thick padded type. You do not want to be sitting on that for 5-8 hours straight at a convention. Your spine will hate you. I can promise you, your spine's going to hate you for that. Click. And here's some death/hard of hearing fursuiting tips. And if you are going to be suiting before adult hours only, I do recommend having a handler as a must rather than a not having one. This is mostly just due to small children existing who really, really love stuffed animals and fursuits. This has happened at previous cons where a hard-drinking suitor thinks they're going to be, cool and fine. And then I did see one at TFF 2019 get taken down by 2 6-year-olds attacking his legs. God bless, the poor man went down like a pile of bricks. Just hit the floor. Extra wide eyes and extra seeing mesh in the corner of fursuit eyes is going to help increase visibility greatly, which will help you get a safer experience if you do not have a handler. So in this case, extra mesh eyes, you can actually hide wider eyes by using fur over the top, so that way you can still see a little bit through it. And then also adding extra mesh right down here in the corners, which is then covered up with very short, very, very short fur, will also help increase the vision, giving you almost full range. Not entirely, it's still gonna be blocked some in the middle, but thus is fursuiting life. And then 4 to 5 fingered hand paws that aren't super chunky or extra stuffed is gonna be helpful if the deaf or HPH person does know ASL and uses it fluently. That is, of course, assuming that they do know it. Not everybody does. So another alternative would be talking words or AAC words, or what is brand new that just got released in the last couple of weeks that actually I didn't have time to add in here is actually Google Sign Language Translate Later. You can now use a camera for that. Meaning if you're interacting with somebody who doesn't know sign language, have them pull that up and you guys can talk just back and forth like that. It is a fantastic tool and I highly recommend it. Here's some asthma-friendly tips. Triangle-shaped holes inside the upper mouth for easier breathing. Even more holes around the ear area for ventilation. That's a major one. And then some suits do not require a full foam back. Just the fur and lining with an extra strap on the back can help make the appearance that you have a full head, but you actually don't. This is mostly meant for people who have more severe asthma, where the back of the head and neck can affect it. And then black mesh on the inside to cover the human face, and not a full pullover balaclava that covers your mouth and nose. So this is just a very thin piece of mesh. Generally, you'd want to just grab, I'd say, tulle or something like that from Walmart. Put that in there, and that way it's super easy to breathe through, but nobody can see your face if that's something you're concerned about. And then cooling vests, or even buying special cooling lining. Again, not made carefully, used from special makers can help additionally. These vests can be found on Etsy and sometimes in the dealer's den. Though I do believe there is none in the dealer's den this year. But basically what this is it's a new type of material designed to help keep you cool even when it's 80 degrees out. So that's a pretty one good to think about if you do live here in Texas, Alabama, Louisiana, and so on. We have some stoma zippers. Stoma bags are used when the body is unable to use the intestines for excretions and or processing food. Instead, a bag collects waste and allows for it to be emptied. Generally, this is easy to do in a bathroom without much issue. However, it can be an issue when it comes to removing the entire suit if the bag does leak or gets full suddenly. This is more common for those 21 plus due to heavy drinking at conventions. So this is also a reminder to hydrate. Again, hydrate. The easiest way to accommodate for this is actually just a hidden zipper. And I do mean a hidden style one meant for sewing. So you can put that in and unzip it, clean it out. And then I also would recommend plastic around the zipper in like a little large square area where your stoma is located. This varies per person, didn't make it too specific. And this does help prevent with biohazard issues, so that way you don't have to throw your whole suit out. Because that would be really, really bad if you had to throw your whole suit because of that incident. I have unfortunately heard of that happening before though. So please make sure to try and just keep everything super clean. Here's some chronic fatigue and long COVID tips. Plan your breaks in for walking around and for around where the fursuit lounges are. If possible, only suit during the later hours of the night when it's much, much cooler. Poodling or even half suiting might be a better choice if your suit has heavier wings or tails. Limit the 21 plus beverages while actively suiting because it can cause overheating quicker, which again, could mean getting cut out of your really, really expensive suit, and we don't want that. Use walkers or wheelchairs if you own them. They're going to be worth it, even if you're sure you can make it the whole time without it. Saving energy is the best and most important thing to do. Some incontinence-friendly fursuit bottoms. Even the best of medication can fail, and so can other aids. So rather to have a backup before you have to break up the carpet cleaner attachment sooner than you expected. Waterproof lining is always a safe bet. On the inside of fursuit pants, and it comes in a wide variety of basic shades like black or white, patterned fabric, may be harder to find depending on what you prefer. I will say that as a heads up. And then another option though is using outdoor furniture lining, much like what is used for outdoor furniture if you prefer something on the more stiff side, if you have a heavy tail. So if you have a floor dragger, I would recommend using the outdoor fat fabric material that's used on outdoor chairs rather than the basic kind you would get for say like bed sheets or something. Sensory accommodations. So sensory-friendly rooms may include things such as dim lights and sensory toys. Fursuit accommodations are going to be thin or thick lining on the inside of a suit. Built-in balaclava, which helps prevent bunching and heat issues. Built-in fans and vents around the ears or back ahead. Thinner pads on 1 or 2 fingers to help with the use of a foam for AAC boards if needed. And here's some emergency card examples, and they're really important to carry out a convention because, again, if you have to get cut out of your suit, you're going to want to have that medical ID tag on if you are allergic to something like, say, penicillin, or if you're allergic to just any type of basic medication, if you have important health conditions such as seizures, asthma, and so on. This is just going to help the ER techs help you out. In ways that cons are becoming more accessible. Service dog relief areas, more than one headless lounge. More strict rules on who and what can go into elevators. Allowing disabled patrons into panel shows and events 15 minutes beforehand. Allowing disabled patrons to have a disabled badge for line cutting for very long lines for fatigue. Better spacing for canes and wheelchairs and panel rooms. And then sharp boxes, present more bathrooms, online planning options, such as the guidebook that was offered this year. We love that. And then this year as well, TFF did add the accessibility badge. Make sure you get one from Pawn Ops. If you do not have one, make sure you go and get one. You can cut through the elevator line basically immediately. And you are gonna want that. And then blind-friendly escape routes available upon request. Service dog, know your rights for hotels and conventions. A person is not entitled to make demands or inquiries about the qualifications or certifications of a service dog for the purpose of administering a public facility, except to determine the basic type of assistance provided by the service animals to a person with disabilities. They can ask if the animal is required for a disability, and if so, what type of service / work they are providing. Under Title 2 and 3, a service dog handler does not need to provide certification for a service animal. This is not true if you are traveling to the UK, the EU, or Canada. So if you are attending conventions there, you may require a doctor's note that states that your animal has been fully trained, who it's been approved by, and so on. That's only if you're traveling to fur cons in other countries though, since other countries' laws do vary. And then a person with a disability who uses an assistance animal for assistance in travel or auditory awareness must keep the animal properly harnessed. This means if you're a wheelchair using service dog, you are not required to keep them harnessed or leashed, but if you're a guide dog user, you must. Like as a very easy and short example, obviously there's different stipulations and other issues that can go on there with hotel staff specifically. Because the hotel is technically private property, you do have to keep that in mind. But if you did pay for services here, such as convention or for the actual hotel room itself, those are the only questions they are allowed to ask. And then here we have the new Texas law that was just introduced as very recently. So here's the official disclaimer about ESAs. There you go. Because you can not bring those here. That is very explicitly not allowed, and hotel staff will not allow that. Question time. Anybody have any? And remember, I can't see you. I'm 90% blind, so just yell out.
I have one question.
Yes.
Are you familiar with like EDS at all?
Yes, I am actually. My roommate has that.
Yeah, my partner has it, and we're trying to make a fursuit for them. But the main issue is like the weight of it, because it's like, because pets can get kind of heavy, and then it's like obviously like making it as light as possible while also like having ventilation. While
What's
also
the
making it
current
look nice.
style you're doing for the head? Is it bucket style, like full phone chunks? Or are you doing
Yeah, I only know how to do bucket style. I'm not sure
Okay,
if there's a
so
better way.
so what I would recommend actually is looking up matrices tutorial online. MATRCES, I believe, matrices, and they have a style that's actually done with canvas strips that looks kind of like a bucket head style. But basically, you take canvas strips and you use that to form your base fursuit head instead. Then you line it, and then the outside of it is the only part that has the fur, which then you then like whittle down and shape per usual. And that helps make just a lot lighter. There's a lot more ventilation because of the canvas mesh as well, which will probably help solve that issue. And the other thing I actually would recommend is like straight up just like looking into different pile styles of fur, because the different style of fur, and by style, this also includes company style too. So because of that, I wouldn't recommend the heavier style furs like you find at say like Joann's or Fabric. Wait, no, I forgot Fabric.com just shut down. I think they got moved to Amazon, right, or something? Something like that. I was gonna say Fabrics.com. I don't. Wherever their fur went, their fur is also really heavy. Instead, I would actually recommend looking on, say, the dealer's den, actually for like fur scraps, like the online one, and then checking who they sourced it from, because that's a really good way to A, find some pretty, cheap and inexpensive fur, and then B, you're reusing, reducing waste. C, you can actually find some really good rare furs that way, which you might want because some companies do make them a lighter style. So I'd say that's what I would recommend
I didn't
for the
even
most
think
part.
about how heavy the fur would be itself.
Oh yeah, no, so fur, generally per square inch, you're gonna wanna calculate, I think about like, what is it? I think it's like for every square inch of fur, it's about an extra 0.5, not grams, it's like something like that though. It's like, there's like a math to it basically, which you can check for your fur if you look at the yardage and then look at the weight and then just divide it basically to figure out how much extra weight that fur is going to put on. And then obviously the weight is gonna change a little bit when you shave the fur, but not by a lot, just reduce it by like, I'd say like 0.3%, I'd say, about that to like account for when you're shaving. If you wanna be able to calculate on every single piece of weight.
Yeah, I mean, every little bit helps.
Honestly, yeah, it does. And the other thing I actually would recommend is kinetic tape. Just a lot of kinetic tape. Just slap it on,
Balance.
Just my roommate, some days I'll just like go in after class and she'll just be covered in like kinetic tape and I'm like, one of those days? And she's like, yeah.
That's good to know.
I have something to add to that as well. If you're planning on doing more than just the head, like if you're planning on doing a bodysuit or anything, you could also add some kind of structure to it that helps it support itself rather than your body supporting it.
Yeah.
So you can use like corset boning as like something that
Yes,
will, like,
corset boning would be perfect
Yeah.
actually. Like that thick plastic boning.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that'd
So
be
you can get those at
perfect.
most craft stores or like online.
Mhm.
It's just like a piece of like rigid plastic that is used in corsets to like do the like straight lines that you see to help give it some structure. So that way it can support itself. That way it's not like sitting on your body. There might be a way that you could do that in the head as well. It would be
Yeah.
a little bit harder, but like if you're doing like the bodysuit, the corset boning would be really helpful.
Yeah, I definitely recommend that too. And if you're not sure how to do the corset boning in a way that looks good on a fursuit, I'd actually recommend contacting somebody who works at a Ren fair. Like no cap,
You're right,
contact
you're so
somebody
right.
who works
That is
at
so
a
true.
Ren fair. They not only will they know how to do fur, like to an extent, but they will be so good at creating appropriate style corsets for long-term wear. If you don't want to do the fashion style, you're going to kill your body with that. But what you're going to do is do the actual support style that was done traditionally back in like 700s and or is currently used in horse riding style corsets.
Write this all down.
You're sitting there like, go jot it down. Right
I gotta take notes, because I mean, this is a serious thing.
Oh yeah, no, this is one of the panels I do at about pretty much almost every furry convention, I'd say. Just
I've
about.
been to some, like, disabled focused furry panels that just absolutely sucks.
Bro,
So I was like, I'm taking a chance.
You're sitting there like sweating a little bit.
I will say too, if you're planning on doing a full suit, try to incorporate like any braces or anything into the duct tape dummy. That way you're building around it. rather than having to
100%.
Good idea.
100%. Yeah, always make sure you include the bracing size, like make your legs a little bit looser. Because I know somebody else here said that he has issues with his fursuit that he got custom made because his artist forgot to account for the fact that he wears a metal brace. So he can't even like wear like the bottom like half the time. Which is like unfortunate for something that expensive. I'm like, just saying, if it's custom, it should work 100%.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
Especially if you're paying like 5K, that's max. Which one? Yeah, EDS.
Basically, see, I don't have it, like my partner has it, so I don't.
So like basically your joints are like jello and constantly
Yeah.
wiggle out.
And your skin.
It's called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
Yeah.
We have a friend a really close friend who has it, and I suspect that I might have it to some degree. It's like all of the collagen in your body is a lot softer than it should be.
Yep.
So your joints, things that like are being held in place in your body by the collagen, doesn't do its job. So like your joints pop out of place easier. Your kneecaps move around a lot. Your ribs can move around. It's like it's basically all the stuff that's holding you together is a lot looser than it should be.
Yep.
There's a couple of really famous drag queens that have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and talk about it a lot. So if you know Edie Oddly, she's like one of the most famous ones, and she talks about the degradation that it has on her body with performing and that kind of stuff. So you should look into her, and she has a lot of good stuff to say about it.
Oh, that's good. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that Elders, EDS is, it's specific, there's a very wide range to it, it's not just one set thing. So some people, it affects their joints more, others it affects the skin more. So it's good, if you're commissioning suits and say that in advertising, like, oh, this is an accessibility for EDS, that's not a good catch-all term.
Yeah,
because
it's
there's
really
different-
not. Like if you ever see anybody going
It's
like a
very
catch-all,
different,
you need to
yeah.
be like a little bit suspicious of the maker. I'm not gonna lie. They're like, oh, it's 100% wheelchair accessible. What type of wheelchair are we talking about here? Like a regular chair, a hospital chair, a power chair? Like everybody's measurements are different too. So like, what do you mean by that, dog? Want to be a little more specific?
Yeah, it's mostly just a talking to the person kind of thing, because like,
Yeah,
I know
100%.
for, it's my best friend from like childhood's wife, it really affects her ribs a lot. So she has a lot of problems where like her ribs will literally just pop out of place. And she will either have to go to the like urgent care or pop them back in herself. So she would probably need more support in that area, but there's other areas that other people might need support in that she wouldn't necessarily need.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know one thing I do for my roommate all the time is I have to like pop her shoulders back in.
Yeah, I
Because
do that a lot.
We're not paying like $50 every time for urgent care for a popped out shoulder, all right? Like, it happens like 4 or 5 times a week. We're not paying that much.
I have a friend whose sister's knee pops out of place constantly.
Yup.
So she just has to like know how to do it.
Yeah.
It's like pop her knee back in all the
Yeah,
time.
she's not gonna
it
dump
sucks
it
how
down.
common it is.
Yeah.
Especially how painful it is.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like really painful.
So there's this technique that I do and a lot smoke in a way. So instead of having like full foam coverage, you have just a circle of foam on it and you have well
Yeah, I've seen one maker. I'm actually friends with him. He does like he basically his whole thing is to make fursuits more accessible as well as like safer just for everyone. And one of his things is like ventilation, which when you're hollowing some stuff out, foam out and less foam, it is gonna get lighter by default. So when I'm pretty sure what he does is like you said, like the circle, and then he just has like a foam piece here, foam piece here, foam piece here, so that way it'll stay in place, and then the balaclava.
And even if you're like having the cheeks and stuff, if you hollow them out before you attach them, that takes off a lot of the weight too.
So
That's a
much
good
weight.
idea.
Literally so much
Right.
weight, yeah. Another idea actually would be for the bag, like I said, is instead of doing like a full foam bag, just do like a straight up strap or something. Like not maybe one strap, like one or two. And you can actually put the boning in that as well and then like cushion it. So then that way it helps support itself more. And then you can just cover that up with the fur itself. And as long as you keep it like brushed out, you should be able to tell that it's there, because I have seen a few heads with that style. But as long as you keep it like slicked and brushed, generally it's pretty well hidden.
There's also adjustable straps that you can do where you just completely get rid of the phone in the back,
Mhm.
and you have either like Velcro or something like that. Where you
Yeah, I
can
know someone
adjust
that
the
does
size.
that.
Yeah, a lot of
I've
people
never
do it
attempted
for-
it personally.
A lot of
Like I
people
said,
do it for
something like
pre-mates because you don't know the size of the head of the person. But it would also help take off a lot of the weight.
So much weight.
I'm working on a suit right now for someone who is in like middle school, and I want them to be able to have their suit for a while.
Oh, you gotta make me look
So
real.
I put the adjustable strap in there so that it can like change with her as she grows.
That's so
Because it's
smart.
such a big investment
Oh,
to have as a
have
kid.
you looked at the REI jackets? Because they have the expandable sewing technique.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, and I know this because I've owned an REI jacket since I was 12, and I'm now 22, and it still fits. Because all you do is you cut these little stitches, like at the wrists,
Oh, and it just,
and
like,
right here,
lets
and
out
it,
more of it?
and it lets out more fabric. And you can also do that to the back of it too, so it extends further down.
Wow, that's so cool.
That was the only thing my mother would buy because she had 8 kids and she was not about to be buying a new jacket every single year. Let me tell you that.
That's so valid.
Like she was like, I'd rather spend $50 when you're 12 than spend like 50 every year. And I was like, yeah, that's fair. You have like 8 kids, man. It's expensive. Oh, what time is it, by the way? Because I can't see the time on my.
6:33.
Okay, good to know. Because there's nobody else in here yet, so we can keep on talking until the other person shows up. Because I don't actually know when they're supposed to be in here. Because I can't actually like.
I feel like they should just post a schedule of everything
Yeah, like-
scheduled for the room. So
Yeah,
every
literally.
panel people will know, you know?
Yeah, right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I also can't see.
So sorry for coming in the last minute. I know they come here earlier.
Oh,
but
you're
I just
fine.
drove in.
What's up?
So
It is
I'm
posted online if you want to see it. Just
Oh,
put
of
fursuit
course.
accessibility on Google, like slides. Just
Yeah.
put fursuit accessibility on Google slides. Because I have it set to public, so it should show
Oh,
up on
hell
top.
yeah. So are there any other type 1 diabetics in the room who fursuit by chance? No? Okay. So just curious because like I'm type 1 diabetic. I use an insulin pump.
Yeah.
In terms of like full suiting with an insulin pump.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get a full suit for the longest time, read my
Hey,
commercial.
what type of insulin pump are you using? Is it like a Dexcom?
Yeah, Dexcom with the
Oh,
tandem.
Perfect, actually,
Yeah,
Dexcoms are like the
they're
easiest. So
genius.
so what you can do, I'd say for fursuits, if you're worried about that, is what I've seen people do, is they basically either put little snaps or they put a zipper. So
Okay.
then you can just basically like an open one down the side, so you can just like that. But I'd say snaps are gonna be safer than a zipper option.
Okay.
Just because of the metal on the Dexcom, and I don't want like the little, the little sticker bit to get caught in the zipper.
Oh, is that a thing?
That's a thing that can happen.
Oh, gosh,
if
with the
you-
Dexter, because I get my Dexter on my arm and I've had issues with it.
Yeah.
Like the only I have an issue
Yeah, I'd say-
with is like doorways.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've had that thing knocked on a few times. But my main question is like, maybe with like the insulin pump and the tubing, in terms of like wearing a full suit
Yeah.
and then having the tubing go from the insulin pump outside the suit and you can use it and somehow being attached to your body.
Ooh, for that, I actually recommend is what you should do is just keep a very, basically, not necessarily an open patch, but
Just like a very small, yeah.
Basically, just like,
Okay.
you can put a little slit in it and then have it blanket stitched, so that way
Okay.
it doesn't catch on anything.
Mhm.
And then if it's done correctly, the blanket stitch should sit like this. And then
Okay.
when you need to access it, you can just do that.
Okay, so just
Pop
like,
it open,
basically the tubing would just go in and then the pump would be on the outside.
Yeah, basically like that. So then that way you can
Also
just
do like a channel.
Okay.
Where,
Channel's a good idea.
Like if you ever look when people do like right over here, so where the cables are taped down,
Yeah.
you can make that kind of channeling through the suit so that you have a dedicated place for the pipe suit or for the tubing to go.
Okay.
Then you can have it like Velcro shut so that way it holds it in place.
Oh, that's a brilliant idea.
And then you can also have